Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast, where we bring a unique insight and analysis from your favorite sports, the collegiate, professional levels. I'm your host, Chase Yantz, alongside my co-host, Brady King. Brady, what's going on?
Not too much, Jace. How about you? I'm actually battling a bit of a sickness right now with a sore throat. Very congested, as you can tell, but bear with me, please.
All good, all good. I'm doing all right myself. Hopefully, you get better and all, but we'll be
Appreciate it.
talking about some NFL draft stuff tonight. Before all that happens, just make sure you subscribe to the channel and go follow our page at Cut to the Chase Podcast on Instagram. Give a like, follow on our recent posts and everything. We'll be picking up activity as things go on throughout the summer. Got a lot of big things in store over the summer of 2022. But we will get right into NFL draft coverage and cut the chase on this one. We'll look at the top 10 picks in the draft, starting with the Jaguars taking Trayvon Walker #1 overall. What were your initial reactions that Thursday night when the Jaguars made this selection?
Well, it was obviously like we kind of knew it was going to happen from like that week of talk and like the odds in Vegas, but I just realized how stupid GMs actually can be and teams in general. But it's just crazy. Like I don't think he's anywhere near even the first round. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, what position he was? He played D line and all that, and he kind of had him
He was
at
like a
linebacker a
DN
bit.
type of
Okay,
yeah.
it's like a little hybrid and all that stuff. But I don't think anybody really expected him to to be taken that high, especially going into that week. Like they, had like late first round grades is what I saw the entire time.
Yeah.
Going in. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not saying I never heard of him, but I never heard of him in any of that talks until really that Monday.
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
was really surprising to see.
He wasn't even like a top 5 defender on that defense this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're being honest. Like I actually was watching I was actually not even trying to watch him, but I was watching highlights for the Michigan Georgia game from this year.
Yeah.
And JJ McCarthy was in for Michigan and was rolling out. And Trayvon Walker literally like grabbed him with all of his might, and JJ just ran away from the tackle and broke it easily. A freshman QB that's not even big. So it's like, bro, you're actually taking this guy with #1 overall.
See, and I think it's the Jaguars wanted not really it's not a flashy pick whatsoever. It's literally just that they're trying to see if this guy is a project, and they're trying to see if they can develop him and they can make it look like they're geniuses and all that stuff. And normally when
Yeah.
those picks, especially that high up, come and those happen, unless they're like a quarterback or something, they normally don't go too well. I mean, who knows how this will go and all that. They could have got him later on in the draft, but
Yeah.
I mean, this I think everybody knows in America that this was damn near a reach.
It was definitely a reach. I'll get to who I would have taken in a bit, but I just I just don't think that Walker is like anything close to any of the other #1 picks we've seen for the past oh no, like this past decade. Like the rest of them, it makes sense a little bit why they were taken #1, and it makes no sense here for why Walker was taken.
Yeah, not a whole lot really back things and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure he had maybe in the 20s and 30s for combined tackles and around 6 sacks. So no eye popping stats or anything that are eye popping when it comes to not too great in that department. But we rolled the #2 pick for the Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, the DN from Michigan. I mean, he even said before the draft that, well, actually the night of the draft, that he wanted to be picked by the Detroit Lions. He wanted to be there at 2 and stay in Michigan and all of that. This is a good pick by the Detroit Lions overall, especially knowing that they had 2 first-round picks, able to go out and get best available and all. What are your thoughts on the Michigan prospect?
I mean, I thought that he for sure was a lot better than Trayvon Walker. But I actually think that #2 is a great spot for Hutchinson. That's where I'd have taken him. #1, I would actually take an Evan Neal from Alabama, the offensive tackle. I just think that he would be huge for the Jaguars protecting Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's generational personally. But anyways, I think Hutchinson's a very good edge rusher. Do I think he's like a Bosa brother or a Watt? I don't think he's quite that level, but I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL for sure, and the right choice at number 2.
Yep, I agree.
For sure.
I mean, Detroit. What are you saying?
And I was going to say for sure better than Trayvon Walker, just reiterating that.
Just reiterating the fact there. But, yeah, I mean, it's more that Aiden Hutchinson, especially when it comes to draft stock and everything, is obviously more proven and all that stuff. He's got a nice body of work, throughout his career at Michigan compared to Trayvon Walker, at Georgia. But, the Lions desperately needed that type of pass rusher and all. They did sign Trey Flowers a couple years ago, and he hasn't really panned out to be that guy when it comes to pass rushing abilities over the last couple of seasons. So Detroit being able to potentially hit on one of these picks could really help them out in the future. There's going to be an episode where we talk about, teams and their way too early predictions and all that stuff coming up in a couple of weeks, but we'll save that for later. And we'll talk about teams that won and lost, won the draft, teams that really struggled this draft and all that later on in the show. So find out where Detroit falls in on this one. Number 3 and number 4, I will say 2 cornerbacks were taken at 3 and 4. The Houston Texans took Derek Stingley Jr. and the New York Jets took Sauce Gardner. Brady, I remember we were talking about Sauce and Derek Stingley. And you personally thought that Sauce was, better than Derek Stingley. We had that conversation. You want to really go over that conversation we had a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I just think that Sauce has had a much better college career. In terms of obviously he did give up a touchdown or whatever, all that. That's not even the most impressive part of his game because he didn't go against the greatest receivers in college, but whenever he went up against a good receiver, he played well, and he never showed weaknesses his entire college career. He's very tall, has long arms, ran a good 40 for his size for sure. And in terms of Derek Stingley, he had a very good freshman year, and I would have told you for sure he should be the number 1 corner this draft. But then Sauce Gardner just outplayed him 2 straight years by far. It wasn't even close. Derek Stingley showed he was hurt like most of the year. I feel like these past 2 years, and even before that, he's injury prone apparently. And whenever he was in the game, he gave up a lot of touchdowns. This year, he played in 1 game and he gave up a 70-yard touchdown to a guy from UCLA, and then every time he's played Devontae Smith, Devontae's toasted him for at least 2 touchdowns each time. So I get that he's good and he's very athletic and he's a great corner for sure. Deserved to be a first-round pick, but Sauce is just more proven.
Yeah, and when it comes, to that perspective and all that, it really comes, we were talking about the consistency over the last, 2 years and all that stuff. You can't control injuries, but I mean, it's obviously a red flag when a guy like Derek Stingley, who's supposed to be this, this number 1 corner out of the class and actually didn't be close, is getting injured like that. That's a big red flag that you gotta look at, especially if you're the Houston Texans who are trying to rebuild, and they've been in rebuild mode the last couple of years, and they'll probably be in rebuild mode for the next few years, of course. So, you don't want to miss on one of these picks, especially at number 3. You don't want to miss on a pick like that. And the Jets, I mean, I know we do a little foreshadowing, but the Jets, I mean, they had one of the best drafts out there, especially first round we're talking about. And
for sure, which is the most important round too. So yeah.
Exactly. And landing a guy like Sauce Gardner, who's, big and, big, physical, fast, all the stuff that you want in a corner and all that. People kind of look for the prototypical type of a Jalen Ramsey out there and all, but I mean, I'm not gonna say he's the closest thing to Jalen Ramsey, but I mean, heck, Sauce Gardner has the capability to be one of those very special corners when it comes, in the game of football. Same with Derek Stingley. It's just we're looking at past production and everything consistently over the last couple of years. Sauce Gardner would get the nod overall.
I think he could step in right now and be an instant good corner for the Jets. Mm-hmm. And I think Stingley could take some bumps in the road all the way.
Yep. I mean, just depend, and some players have different paths and all that stuff. But really, I mean, getting off to a nice start is very important in the National Football League because, you talk about contracts down the road. You talk about how other players view you and all that stuff. It plays a big part down the road. But
For sure.
Going into number 5, the other New York team, the Giants, selected Kavon Thibodeaux, who honestly, when we were talking last fall, was the projected number 1 overall pick by a lot of people.
Yeah. Him and Spencer Rattler were the two dudes that came to mind before the year. And, I mean, I'm not going to say that Kavon was a bust like Rattler this year, but, like, he really didn't impress anybody overly. But, like, do I think he's good? I do. I think he's much better than Trayvon Walker. It would make a lot more sense for him to be your project because he's less of a project because he's been good. He just hasn't put up like 14 sacks, but he's put up like 10. Trayvon Walker had 5 sacks in his best year in college, so like it's different. But Thibodeaux, good pick at 5. He says some stupid stuff sometimes. Like he said that he said some stupid stuff about he wanted to go to Oregon because of his educational opportunities over like a bunch of other schools he named, but all those other schools have a better education than Oregon. Mm-hmm. So he obviously was just saying stuff and I heard, but like other than that, like he's a quick D end. He seems pretty powerful for his frame too, and I think it's a good pick at 5. Yeah, he's probably my number 2 edge prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a very good frame and all that, and able to get off the line pretty quick. I remember, we were talking last fall, like when Ohio State played Oregon, he didn't end up playing against Ohio State. Everybody was talking about, that was breath of fresh air, and we talked about the Oregon game a couple of times and stuff, but the impact Kavon Thibodeaux could have in many games this year, especially for a struggling team like the Giants. They got a new head coach from Brian Dable and all that. Right. It definitely could pay dividends, especially going up. Their draft honestly wasn't that bad in the first round because they had 2 top 7 picks. So hopefully you don't jack that up. But their number 7 overall pick wasn't even the first tackle taken off the board because the Panthers took Akim Ekwonu, if I pronounced his name correctly, from North Carolina State, the offensive tackle. What are your thoughts?
I mean, not a bad pick, but people need to stop trying to find ways to I don't know what to say, like lessen these great prospects like Evan Neal. Like he was always the number 1 tackle prospect, and then it comes to draft time, and then they start making up things like about other players being better. But like Ike Ekwonu is a good player, but Evan Neal was better to be for sure. The dude is huge. He did like box jumps where like he put one leg on 2 box. It was I don't know what it was.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Those things, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's not even the thing. Like you watch the tape, he's always annihilated dudes and like never gives up sacks hardly. He was the number 1 tackle prospect, but Ekwonu was a great player. Was a great player as well this year for NC State.
Yep.
So I don't mind the pick, but I would have gone with Evan Neal there personally.
Yeah, I mean, Ekwonu is first team All ACC last year, 3rd team All ACC in 2020. Won the ACC Jacobs Blocking Trophy. Never heard of that before, and also was a unanimous All American selection this past year. So 6'4", 310's got pretty good size and all. We'll see how he does in Carolina blocking for whoever the quarterback may be down there. If it's Sam,
right?
Or who knows? Who really knows? So we'll keep an eye on Ekwonu this season. But as we did talk about Evan Neal at 7 for the Giants, protecting Daniel Jones. The man is large. He's athletic, can get out and go. He's not going to be protecting Daniel Jones for more than a year because Daniel Jones, the 5th year option, just got declined and all that. So I think it's pretty safe to say the Giants will be looking for a new person for Neal to be his bodyguard.
Yeah, I feel like that'll depend on like if they get a good spot in the draft to take a QB, or if they just pick up somebody, a free agent QB or whatever, or trade for one or whatever it may be. But I think that Evan Neal should have gone number 1 overall, personally. And it's not just because he played at Alabama. It's because he's easily the most freakish OT prospect.
Yep.
And not only is he the best prospect, he started all 3 years at Alabama with multiple other first-round O-linemen starting beside him. And he put up great film all 3 years. He was a great player. Like, he was never a liability, even as a freshman. I don't know how he's not the first tackle prospect at the very – like, I think the Jaguars should have taken this man number 1 overall, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Great player.
Continue to reiterate that fact and all. I mean, I know we're talking about the Giants and all, but there's really not a whole lot to talk about right now with them. But when it comes to protecting your quarterback, I mean, obviously quarterback's the most important position in the National Football League, football in general, in sports in general. That's the number 1 position of need. If your quarterback doesn't have any time and doesn't have any sort of protection, I mean, it's wraps. Teams can make the Super Bowl and get there, but they're not going to win it. Hence my team. Fuck. But those guys are not reaches. Evan Neal is not a reach, obviously. Like, if it's right there and he is there in your hands, take him.
Yeah, for sure.
Selection.
For sure.
But I'll tell you this, at number 8, we had discussion about this one too. The Falcons taking Drake London. I'm gonna give you the floor.
All right, so it's not even the fact that they didn't take Garrett Wilson with this pick. It's the fact that they took Drake London. I would have been a lot more okay with it if it was Treylon Burks, even Jamison Williams, or Chris Olave, obviously. But, like, any of those 3 guys, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, great receiver. All of them great receivers. But then here comes Drake London, the 6'5", runs a 4.7 probably, and doesn't do anything other than catch contested catches, which, wait a second, why are they always contested? Probably because he can't run routes and get open. But overall, horrible pick. Like, you're looking for somebody to replace Calvin Ridley for a year because you're going to need somebody to take, like, you're going to need a route runner. Like, somebody that can run routes, because obviously Ridley, everyone knows his little – I thought that was pretty funny that he bet on games and stuff. But but you're going to take a guy like Drake London. I mean, he's a fine prospect. I would take him late 2nd, early 3rd round maybe. But, like, I never understood why anyone thinks of him as this great of a receiver. And I never have. Like, I said it before the draft. Like, the fact that they actually took him here is just wild to me. Absolutely wild.
See, the way Atlanta plays, like, you already see their quarterback in Marcus Mariota, which,
yeah,
from the rip, that's kind of
they drafted another Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, they basically,
except not as good, but, like, you know what I mean. Like, this dude is slower than Kyle Pitts. You draft a guy slower than your tight end, same height, it does the same type of things. Like, you don't need that right now.
I mean, we keep in perspective. Kyle Pitts didn't run like a 4.40, which is downright insane. But I understand what you're saying, though.
Way slower. Way slower.
And then I look in the chat right now. Dre said, I believe they picked him based on his potential, not for him to immediately come in and be the guy. Okay, but the thing is, like,
I mean, I just think his potential comes with can he get faster? Because great hands is great and all, but if you can't get open, Marcus Mariota's not hitting you with that football.
See, the thing is, like, if they were to have Calvin Ridley on the field, like, I know it could have been he was still taken pretty high, but if they would have if they still had Calvin Ridley on the field this year, like, I don't think other people would really be talking about how much awful of a pick this could be. All right. I personally don't think it's a awful pick. I don't think they could have went so many other options, though. they could have went Garrett Wilson. They could have went, Olave, even Jamison Williams. They could have went a lot of other guys,
I just don't know how you could think. I just don't know how these experts could possibly think that he's better than those guys though. Like, I thought receiver wasn't a bad pick, but you put him up against Garrett Wilson. I just don't see anything he's better at other than size.
Yeah, and I don't know if that you're talking about the experts in that fact. I don't know what head coach Arthur Smith is trying to look at. I don't know. We don't know exactly what he is trying to look for in a wide receiver and all that. If they're looking for something specific and something literally specific, and that's kind of the wonders of the draft, because you see some receivers get taken over some other guys even 2020. Okay, this was Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson should have never happened.
No.
That's the one of a stupid. That's a stupid pick,
and it always was, even from the get go. Why was Justin Jefferson not a top 10 pick?
Exactly. That those discussions right there, and you had Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb, and I feel and I think Ayuk was late first round, but there was a lot of receivers taken in that draft, I will say, in 2020. But there were a couple of the order of receivers that kind of threw me off. And those guys have been pretty good when you think about it. Like CeeDee Lamb's been good, and obviously Justin Jefferson has been fantastic and all. But but you just sometimes you don't know what these offensive coordinators and head coaches have in their mind and what they're trying to do with the offense and all that stuff. If you look at Drake London's stats, 88 catches, 1,084 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's not bad. But he only played 8 games is an issue. 8 games is the issue. That's what we need to look at also when it comes to, staying on the field and everything. Could be a potential issue. He did win Pac-12 Player of the Year. Has a lot of accolades and all that stuff, especially from this past year. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Falcons utilize him in an offense that looks to be run heavy, yet they don't have a running back.
Yeah.
So how they're constructed, it's going to be really interesting to see how they put this thing together.
Agreed. No, I agree with that. I think he's certain. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a draft expert.
I'm not either.
But I think I have him as my wide. I think I have him as wide receiver 9 based off of what I think he is. But who knows? Maybe they're right. I don't know. But I just think Garrett Wilson should have been that dude at the 8th spot.
Yeah, and I thought so too when it comes to overall receiver prospects and all that stuff. If you're looking for the best available receiver, you would take Garrett Wilson. All right. Yeah. And that's easy. That's easy enough. When we're talking about the draft and all that stuff, I know personally I look at it from a perspective of what that team's offense tries to look like, what they're looking for and all that stuff. Obviously the experts do their grades and all that, and they make their picks based on who the best receiver is going, who their best receiver is going to go before everybody else. And
right.
Some teams might pick the guy who ends up being the number 3, the third best receiver in that class first. And it's just the way the offense is, and it's just the way that teams are built. I know Treylon Burks is a very good receiver and all that. He was the 5th receiver taken. He's going to fit very well in Tennessee. We're going to take 5th or 6th receiver, because Jahan Dotson, I think, was taken ahead of him. We'll talk a little bit.
Jahan was taken ahead, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that actually we'll talk about Jahan Dotson a little later. But hopping to the Seahawks, Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State at 9. I don't really know a whole lot about him. How do you feel about that one?
I didn't mind this pick, honestly. This was one where he probably was the 3rd best tackle to me on the board. And in terms of what the Seahawks need, O-line's a fine choice at 9, so I really didn't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah. There's not really a whole lot to be said there. Charles Cross, let me look at the height, 6'5", 310, first team all SEC, all that. So, there's a lot riding there, but the Seahawks are in rebuild mode. So, why not start with your offensive line and protect whoever your quarterback may be? 10, 11, 12. So we got the Jets, the Saints, and the Lions. 3 former OH guys, all right? We have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jamison Williams in that respective order.
I remember when 3 former OH guys went 3 in a row in 2019 as well. It was like the same. Like, I feel like that's always. I don't know why. It just seems like that happens a lot for us for some reason. Like, and it just happens like in the funniest order possible.
Yeah, it does. And I think each team, the Jets, Saints, and Lions, when it came to that night, when I initially saw all these picks, I thought every team hit it.
Yeah, I thought that was perfect. I thought that's
perfect.
I knew exactly once this. Okay, so Jets, I was like, yeah, they're picking Garrett Wilson. I had no doubt after Atlanta passed on him. They knew they had their guy. They got Garrett Wilson. Great pick, I think. He's my wide receiver 1, and it really wasn't too close based off of just ability and general, like being so complete. Speed, 4 threes, route running, arguably the best in the class. Jump ball skills, ridiculous. Arguably the best in the class. They're unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Pure athleticism with the ball in your hands. The way he can move is ridiculous. Body control, best in the class. Yards after catch, one of the best in the class. Like, everything's perfect. So yeah, that's a great pick for the Jets there. And then once the Saints traded up, I'm like, well, they're getting Chris Olave.
Yeah.
They're getting him. I knew they liked Chris Olave. And I think he is so much experience staying for that 4th year and had so much college production. And every time there's a big game, he plays so well. So his route running, if you don't say it's Garrett Wilson, this is the best route runner I think Olave is probably the best pure route runner in this class. Hands are great. Speed is great. And he's just overall like a very, very good receiver. Deep threat as well for the Saints to pair next to Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and all those other weapons. And then Jameson Williams. Great job on the Lions trading up. They needed a receiver. They go and get the speedster that played for the 2 best college football programs. And, had some big moments for Ohio State, but then he needed to leave because the receiver room got so crowded. I mean, You bring in the best out of all of them, which we'll get to next year.
Yep.
And on college football episodes this year, you bring him in and he has to start. Ohio State staff knew this dude we cannot let this guy sit the bench with Jackson Smith and Jibba. Like, we don't want any of them to sit the bench, but we cannot let this guy sit the bench in general. And that's just who it was that they moved out, and it was good. He goes to Alabama, great season. He was their wide receiver 1 by far. Great speed, great deep threat, great pick for the Lions in general. Those 3 receiver prospects were all very safe, good picks in my opinion. And yeah, I just thought they were great picks in general.
See, Garrett Wilson to the Jets, when I look at a pick, I want to make sure that, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, this sounds right and it looks right that they're on that team is one. All right. That's just how, like, my, like, when it comes to my creativity and all that stuff. I want to picture this and be like, okay, this looks right. Some players don't look right. Some players look like that. That's something else. But Garrett Wilson in that offense, obviously, he's going to be the number 1 in that offense. Zach Wilson, he's going to be able to, hopefully they get the magician that Zach Wilson is and all, and they'll have Garrett Wilson be that 1,000-yard receiver and everything, do it all guy. So that I feel like hit. The Saints with Chris Olave. The Saints, I feel like, are going to run a lot of play action this year. A little bit of play action. Obviously, they have Alvin Kamara in there to, dump the ball off to, use him out of the backfield and all that stuff. But I feel as though, especially with how Jameis Winston is with a big arm, move him around the pocket, protect him and all, I feel like they're going to try to go a little play action this year, especially when it comes to Chris Olave taking deep shots. Michael Thomas, runs a lot of short and intermediate routes really well, when it comes to slants and all that. And if they kind of have that stuff develop and they have, some doubles double coverage and stuff like that when it comes to underneath, you got Chris Olave taking the top off the defense.
Right. And I remember from college, Michael Thomas's hitch and go is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
I remember seeing this against the Rams. I remember seeing one against the Rams. That was when he had his cell phone and all, but that's something different. But yeah.
The reason I think that he hasn't shown it much off in the NFL is because Drew Brees got old and can't get it there anymore.
Yeah.
But I think now with Jameis Winston, his arm strength's not the problem at all. He'll let it rip. So I think the route running on the Saints is going to be ridiculous this year.
Yeah.
You get with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, you got two. They're both like 6. Like Michael Thomas, I think is like 6'2". Chris Olave is like 6'1". They're both very long, and you just let them route people up, and you're good. Play action is really good for this offense too, with Alvin Kamara being a threat, and even let him run a little wheel route or whatever, and he'll even torch you in the pass game.
Exactly. And okay, I think I'm going to drop a hot take here. All right, so obviously when you think about receivers in the National Football League, the best receiving duo in the best receiving trio in the National Football League is my Bengals. Okay, I'm not going to be biased. They're the best receiving trio in football.
I would agree,
hands down. When it comes to receiving duos, you think of Thielen and Justin Jefferson. You now think of Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. I'm probably going to forget a couple of guys, on these lists. You could even you look at new guys, AJ Brown, Devontae guys,
Smith, yeah,
all of those. All right.
Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, if you want.
Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill as well.
Yeah.
Young stars paired with veterans and everything. This is another young star paired with a veteran now. And if Jameis Winston stays healthy, and is able, to produce, these two this year, they could be the best receiving duo in football this year.
They could be. I mean,
I'm going to make a hot take. I think if Jameis Winston stays healthy and stays on pace, they'll be the best receiving duo in football. I'd
agree. And my shot right now, I'm going to call it. Chris Olave will be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
So we're riding the Saints train right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I'll be riding it until Cincinnati goes down to the bayou, but that's about it for me. When it comes to Detroit, I'm not even going to lie. I took a video of the pick. I was so worried that they traded up to get Malik Willis. Oh, God.
Oh, that would have been terrible.
My brother's a Lions fan, all right? And I just was like, oh, God, I can just see, the life flashing before Lions fans' eyes if they go and pick a quarterback and they go and pick Malik Willis at 12, which is just the ultimate reach,
Yeah, Malik Willis, somebody said something. They're like, did he really drop, or was he just never that high on any NFL team's boards?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because he's a really nice looking arm. He throws the ball. He's got a live arm, if that makes sense. But he was never a great player. He wasn't even really that good in college. He was at
a mid-major lower
exactly
college. I don't even really say a mid-major college.
Right. Liberty was just. I mean, this dude, third round is about right. Third round is even a risk, on him, because Sam Howell was better in college than Malik Willis.
That's true, actually.
And he went fifth round. And not saying that he's good. It's just Malik Willis has the stronger arm, which is going to get you places. And they need to quit comparing him to Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 3 inches taller. It was much better in college. He was actually he was good for Wyoming. He was very good. And his arm was still way better than Malik Willis.
Trying to make the small college comparison for a guy like Malik Willis to freaking Josh Allen, who is arguably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. They gotta quit that stuff.
I'd put him top 3 personally.
Yeah, I would say it too. And we're gonna have lots of lists coming out summer about all that stuff.
Yeah.
But back to the pick, Jamison Williams to the Lions. I look at their receiving room right now. Jamison Williams, DJ Chark, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Jared Goff's your quarterback. I know there's DeAndre Swift, that running back. I don't think they're gonna finish last in the NFC North. I think the Bears are. The Bears draft was terrible. And
I'm sick of them, dude.
That's awful. All right. We've had conversations about how they're literally asking Fields to die.
They want him to die. They want him to like have no chance. There's no way. Do you remember the Browns game where they literally would not block Myles Garrett? Like, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there was nothing Fields could do about it. He was just – they would call like a play action pass. He'd turn around and boom, there's Myles Garrett. You can't even run away.
Yep. So I think the Bears are on a decline when it comes to that. And I think Detroit is on an incline, not potential.
Yeah.
But
Tell me how Detroit now has Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Jamison Williams and T.J. Hutchinson, and the Bears are stuck with Darnell Mooney, who is not a wide receiver one. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
like
and you let Allen Robinson walk.
Allen Robinson walks.
That's downright ridiculous.
Then all this other
stuff, and I'm gonna be, and I'm gonna be crazy enough to say it, but 2023, I think Detroit's playing for something in December.
It could be
wild card. They're a wild card, all right, but I think they're playing for something in December next year.
I think they end up with C.J. Stroud. That's
exactly. I think if C.J. Stroud was to come in there in 2023. I honestly think they could be playing for stuff in December,
right?
Like
then you replace Goff, who Goff is okay. He's not the worst quarterback.
Yeah, you have to build almost perfectly around him to even get to just the playoffs and all.
Right.
Look at the Rams the last few years and stuff, and the Rams were tired of all that, and they bring in Stafford and they beat my Bengals. Fuck
yeah.
But that's again that's totally something different. But the Lions. I like the construction of what they're trying to do.
I agree
with Dan Campbell, the front office, and everything. I do like what the Lions are doing, and I really, really hope Motown has something to look forward to in the future. But now we look at some of the other first-round picks. Kyle Hamilton drops to 14 to the Ravens.
Yeah,
that was a scary pickup for the AFC.
That's very scary.
North is looking around. Joe Burrow. Deshaun Watson, whenever the heck he plays, whoever the Steelers quarterback may be, which we will talk about their pick in a minute.
Yeah.
But teams beware. Kyle Hamilton is a Baltimore Raven, and the Ravens have a history of safeties. How do you think Kyle Hamilton will be as a Baltimore Raven in 2022?
I personally think he's going to be great. I think that Kyle Hamilton is my personal probably my number one player in this draft in terms of like grading positionally, because safety isn't the most important position in the league. So obviously I don't think you can take him like number one or anything.
Yeah.
But like I'd probably grade him a 9.8 out of 10 in terms of a prospect.
9.8, yep.
Yeah, I'd give him a 9.8. But I would give I would say he's going to be borderline top 10 safety in the NFL real soon, real quick. If not this year, the next year, he'll end up as a great player. I think he's a Pro Bowler, future Pro Bowler, future first team All Pro, all that.
That's honestly scary at 6'4", 220, covering the entire length of the field.
His football speed is unbelievable. I don't care that he ran a 4.59 or whatever it was. It does not matter.
That does not.
Look, watch him run. The other safeties that are scared, it don't matter what they run, are not scared, but like can't react like he does. He reacts like he runs a 4.2.
Yeah, his reaction, ball skills, covering the field, all of that. You could even put him in a free high safety look in Baltimore and have a guy walk down in the box, and Baltimore can play a lot more aggressive when it comes to that, knowing they have – once he really gets settled in, knowing they have a guy on the back end that can really take anything over the top. Yeah. I mean, and imagine blitzing that guy.
It definitely is great for their scheme. And I remember in 2020, Notre Dame played Clemson in the ACC championship, which should never have been allowed. Notre Dame got a free pass to make the playoffs, but Kyle Hamilton had a sweet pick on Lawrence because Lawrence tried to throw it like over him, but Hamilton's arms were too long, and he snagged the ball out of midair. And that was impressive to me. That's like the little things. And obviously everyone knows that play against Florida State this year where he ran across the whole field. Mm-hmm. I think it's a crime that he wasn't a top 10 pick at the very least.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know where the stock fell and all that about the 40 time, but teams have to get that through their mind. That's
for sure.
You gotta look way beyond that stuff.
I mean, look at all the best players in the league. None of them really have that good of a 40 time. for the most part. Most of them are, other than like Tyreek Hill and all them. Like Cooper Kupp, he ran what, a 4.65. I mean, I'm sure right now he'd probably run a 4.4, but you know what I mean. Like you can work on those things. Like Kupp, obviously he's faster now than he was, but like who else? Who else is T. Higgins, your guy. He ran 4.59, but does it matter? No, it doesn't.
Not one bit.
He's better than Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
He ran a 4.28. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. John Ross ran a 4.22.
And then he sucks.
Yeah, the Giants.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible.
But yeah, like that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to context. And we'll look at the next two receivers that are taken off the board at 16 and 18 respectively. Jahan Dotson was taken by the Washington Commanders at 16. Yeah. The Tennessee Titans took Treylon Burks after trading away A.J. Brown, which had the soul for a soul effect right there. But first, Jahan Dotson. If Carson Wentz is able to actually get that thing down the field, and honestly, I think Jahan Dotson will be the focal point. Well, one of the most focal points of the offense, apparently, also with Terry McLaurin in there. All right, don't get me wrong, but Jahan Dotson could have a very big season.
I agree. I think I always have been a big fan of Jahan Dotson. I think his size is a little bit concerning because he's only like 5'11". He's a shorter receiver, but I don't think it matters because he showed that he can catch. He's a great guy, great hands, great route running, very fast. I would say he's like a worse version of Garrett Wilson, if I were to make a comparison, which is still good. Like I think he's. I personally think he should have gone in the first round, maybe not 16th, but like I don't think this is as bad of a pick as people think.
Exactly. I mean.
And he'll be good alongside McLaurin.
Yeah, exactly. He is a nice contrast to McLaurin. And honestly, the way that he is, like he's 5'11", 182. He looks a little smaller when he's on the field, but he's 4.43 40 time and all that, which isn't bad and all. Like they're going to be able to use him in a lot of different ways when it comes underneath, when it comes deep ball, when it comes all over the field. And I really can't wait to see if Washington can have a quarterback that'll throw it to Jahan Dotson and let be creative with Jahan Dotson. I think is the big thing. They can use him in so many creative ways.
They can.
So that's what I'm looking forward to with Washington. And with Tennessee, as we say, they got A.J. Brown at home. They replaced him almost perfectly.
Yeah, they did. I mean, you get a receipt. You don't have to pay that $100 million for A.J. Brown like the Eagles, and you get a receiver that plays a lot like A.J. Brown, big, physical, great after the catch for his size. I mean, again, Burks ran a slower 40 time, but everyone freaked out. He dropped a little bit too. Like, I think again. He was my wide receiver 4, I believe, in this class.
Yeah.
So I think he should have. I think this is a great pick for them to be. I still don't know if they should have traded A.J. Brown, but still, if you're going to replace him with Burks. And I think Burks is much better than Drake London as a big physical receiver. If you're going to take a big physical receiver, I mean, he's not as tall as Drake London, but he's very strong, and he's much better after the catch. But I thought he was I thought he had a great year this year, and when they played Alabama, it was a close game throughout the whole game.
It was.
He had a sweet, like he took a hitch to the end zone.
I remember that.
The hitch where he just started running and he just ran past people. I was like, wow, he can move.
Definitely. 66 catches, 1,104 yards, and 11 touchdowns this season for Treylon Burks at Arkansas. His first team All SEC, all of those accolades. And I think he'll work fine in Tennessee. The hope is that they're just going to have that Ryan Tannehill is able to step up and all. And, Titans fans have been saying this the last couple of years. I'm not going to count the AFC Championship run they had in 2019. He stepped in, played well. Literally threw the ball maybe 12 times a game in that run until the AFC title game. Hand off to Derrick Henry. You have the luxury of Derrick Henry. I actually had a conversation with a couple of my teammates, Dre and Bryson, last night. We were talking about the Titans quite a bit, actually. The whole impact of actually will translate into now Malik Willis. He'll be looking over Brian Tannehill's shoulder the first couple of weeks. I don't think they're going to jump the gun and say, hey, we're going to make Malik Willis the starter by week 5. But, I mean, because, he's still got to develop him and all. But Ryan Tannehill is literally playing for his life this year. He's going to have to throw the ball to Treylon Burks. And, Burks is obviously going to step in immediately. And he's going to know that when Ryan Tannehill is dropping back the pass, you have a lot on your plate when he throws the ball, because you're going to try to make him look good.
For sure. And he needs to stop throwing interceptions whenever he – I
loved it, though.
I think – yeah. Well, that game in particular. But, I'm just – in general, this dude does not – I don't think he knows how to read a defense.
I don't know.
And that's because all they're doing is play action. There's no reading a defense in play action. It's just, is your route open or not? And he'll fake that handoff to Derrick Henry, look, and just throw it. But there's a defender right there that picks it off going the other way. I don't think he's that good. And he's been getting flamed for saying he's not going to mentor Malik Willis. I'm actually somewhat on his side in the way that, why would he try – you're saying, do you need to mentor him? That's acting like you want to, make him the next QB of the Titans' future. What? That's not what he wants to do. He's trying to battle Malik Willis. Is he going to give him a few tips? I'm sure he will. I don't think that's what Tannehill meant. I thought Tannehill took the question as, are you going to mentor him to be the next starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans? And they're saying that Tannehill's terrible for this and stuff. But it's I don't know.
Yeah, the thinking of it, that's the way you're supposed to think. You're not going to have a guy be like, hey, he's going to walk in and be the next quarterback and all that.
Yeah, I know. You want to fight for your job.
But at the same time, Tannehill is an 11-year veteran. I would think he's been in this situation once or twice before when they've kind of brought in guys or had guys in organizations that could be in that position to potentially be in line for a job. And you just don't try to push the envelope on that question. You just got try. I mean, I know the reporter's asking a question and all that stuff, but I think he got a little too far into it and got himself in a bit of a I'd say not sticky situation, but he kind of went in a little too far. And that's when the media and that's when everybody started taking this thing a little too further compared, to what actual context was. So
I agree.
That was a mistake, a little bit of a mistake on his point, but the rest of the media is just blowing it up because that's what the media does.
They do.
But you know what? Talking about quarterbacks, your new quarterback Kenny Pickett, Steelers, 2 quarterbacks. Same. They share the same building. I'm not trying to think. I'm trying to think of other stuff, but what's the thought of Pickett when it comes from a Steelers fan?
Well, I mean, I thought he was this draft's best quarterback, but does that mean he was good? No. This draft was a terrible quarterback draft class. Now, do I think he'll be I think he looks like a solid backup, but I don't think he's a first-round pick. I would have much rather had Tyler Linderbaum at that spot personally, but screw it. Hopefully I'm wrong. He throws with 2 gloves for a reason. He obviously has tiny hands and can't hardly grip the football. But I don't know. He was my top quarterback, but that's just because he was the best this year in college. So and I thought, and I will say, the what solidifies him as being a solid prospect is against Clemson. He had a really nice game. And Clemson had a great defense. Their offense was god-awful. It was one of the worst offenses I have ever seen in my life. They would not score 2 touchdowns in Ohio State's defense last year, and Ohio State's defense was terrible. Jeez. DJ is not throwing 8 completions that game. But Defensively, Clemson was great, and Pickett was throwing some dimes for touchdowns that game, and he was doing what he needed to do. So we'll take. I guess I'll take it, but I was not too happy with the pick, to be quite honest with you.
And that's why that's why I wanted to wait a week or two to do this reaction show to the draft, so we have things settle out. You know? Because when people sometimes go on these draft reaction shows, especially after draft night, the day after, and all that stuff, people are still trying to process it, and they're
for sure,
riding so high off of, this dude was such a great pick, raving over a guy and everything. But then, some people are like, this pick sucks. This is terrible. Like, why the hell do we pick him? And just going on and on about all that stuff. And that's from what you'll get during the draft weekend, and I just wanted to make sure that we could, see this whole thing through.
I agree.
And, with Pickett, he's a very athletic quarterback. All right. There's, a sense of a dual threat.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh guy when it comes to, playing college there. The coaching staff has a familiarity with him, sharing the same building. Pittsburgh wants to take shots this year. They are tired of the whole. Obviously, Big Ben was a great quarterback. All right. Great quarterback for the course of his career.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, and I think this had a problem with Ben's elbow surgery in 2019. They were dinking and dunking the hell out of the ball. Running 3 to 5 yard routes and just having those drives. As it went on, drives would stall out because teams would obviously just, they wouldn't put a guy over the top. They would condense the box. They would condense everywhere. And, Pittsburgh couldn't throw. For God's sake, Ben would throw the ball and literally fall after a throw. They finally have an athletic quarterback potentially. And even if Kenny Pickett doesn't start week 1, they still have Mitch Trubisky, who you just don't need to lose the game. He doesn't need to win it. You just don't need to lose it. He is a bridge quarterback. Obviously.
Yeah, he's quite the game manager, I'd say. Except a little bit more. Usually, game managers aren't as athletic as he is, so he has that.
Athletic,
But I mean, Ben definitely couldn't take as many deep shots these past couple of years, but hopefully he can throw some deep shots here to Deontay and Claypool and all these guys. George Pickens even, but
that's true. NFL young boy right there. That guy's a character. Very good receiver though.
Yes.
What I forget what pick he was at though, but
I remember the announcer called him immature.
Immature.
Yeah, they called him immature.
Right. Okay. I mean, the whole meme world's calling him NFL young boy and everything, and I mean, dude's a straight menace. I'm just gonna say it. He is a menace on and off the football field from stuff we've seen and stories I've heard. But, we talked about many of the first round picks and notable talents and all. Perfect time to see sleeper picks and reaches. Who was a sleeper pick of yours this draft?
Sleeper pick this draft. For me, my number one sleeper pick is I'm gonna go with Andrew Booth to the Vikings at 42. Mm-hmm. I thought he should have been a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
I thought he was I think he's my number 2 corner, actually, ahead of Derek Stingley by a little bit. I think I'm gonna go with Sauce, Booth, Stingley, all 3 in the same type of tier. But Booth, I mean, good God, this dude, I never see him get beat. He every time you throw a screen pass against him, he does that thing Denzel Ward did where he slid under him.
Yeah,
he does that, except he doesn't actually slide under him, but he gets past really quick and just kills screens all the time. Mm-hmm. He has the greatest pick in college football history if you've seen it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's insane. So that means his ball skills are great. I mean, this dude's a great corner, and I think he got screwed that Clemson had 3 losses this year. He didn't get the spotlight he deserved. Like he would usually, a Clemson third-year DB would usually get. So 42 was a steal for Andrew Booth Jr. to me.
So, and you think about it, Andrew Booth Jr. is, in Minnesota. He's going to go up against great receivers every day at practice, which is just going to make him that much better. But he's also going to be there with Patrick Peterson, who knows a thing or two about being a very, very great corner in the National Football League.
Right.
So taking all of this stuff, together. I mean, this is all playing in for Andrew Booth to have a very successful career, especially a very successful rookie season. I wanted the Bengals to take him at 30.
Yeah.
I wanted them to take it at 31, because when you're talking about him being very, very good at blowing up screens and all that stuff, Cincinnati was good at that last year. I mean, I saw many times Cheeto Uzie and Mike Hilton were able to blow up screens and everything. But the thing that we had trouble with, obviously, Eli Apple on the other side. That whole thing was just an issue. All right. And obviously, we got Cam Taylor Britt in the second round, and I hope he's able to pan out. But yeah, I wanted the guy who had really shown himself and who was very consistent overall when it came to obviously before we had Pickett 31 with Daxton Hill, which I do like to pick moving forward, long term. But Andrew Booth, the ability to stop screens and all that stuff and just be consistent was huge. My sleeper pick, and I think a lot of people obviously talked about this. I think where I'm going to go with this, Nakobe Dean.
Oh yeah, for sure.
85. I know he had a shoulder injury and all that stuff that was concerning. People were talking about that. But oh my gosh, I mean,
what a steal.
Okay, 72 combined tackles, 10.5 tackles for a loss, and had 6 sacks and 2 interceptions at the linebacker position.
I'm dead serious when I say this. I think that the Jaguars would have been smarter to take him first overall than they were to take Trayvon.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. That's legitimate.
And he went 80. So he went what, 85th?
85th. He had 6 sacks, the same amount as Trayvon Walker did,
and plus 2 picks, and he plays linebacker.
And
the dude was a beast.
That's unbelievable.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know who he was until September 4th,
in September
2021, against Clemson. So I was just down my basement where I am right now with a few people that I'll get into. Yeah, I think but
I do.
But but it was a great game, hyped up, and Nakobe Dean was flying back there. I was like, "Whoa, who is this dude?" They would say his name. I'm like, "This dude is a beast, absolute freak." And then he went 85th, which is a joke. I didn't even think of him. He's probably my pick too, but I'll go with Booth since you took him.
Yeah, I was figuring you were going to go with Nakobe Dean. I know a lot of people talked about, him like going to 85 and all that. It's just,
oh yeah,
all the hype is well warranted surrounding him. But I mean, those stats and just the leadership that Philadelphia is going to get from a rookie going to the middle linebacker position really
is huge.
That's unbelievable.
He was the leader of the national title team.
Yeah,
Georgia.
You even saw those videos where I forget who the other linebacker was, but you saw he missed the read and coverage, and Nakobe Dean was getting right on him.
Oh yeah.
And the next play, dude makes a big sack on Bryce Young.
I think who was that? Quay Walker, I think
that was.
And that dude went first round. The dude that Nakobe Dean had to rip and tell him what to do went first, but Nakobe Dean did. Like, what?
That's the make sense for.
I mean, I thought Nakobe Dean was the LB1, and then 2 linebackers went in the first round. Devin Lloyd overrated. Quay Walker overrated. I mean, come on now.
But yeah,
Nakobe Dean.
I mean, Philadelphia is looking pretty good right now.
They're looking sweet.
Jordan Davis. I didn't even mention him.
He's huge.
That big, whatever you want to call him, is the man in the middle on their defense. The mammoth on the middle on the defense. That's insane. Then you have Nakobe Dean at the next level, secondary filling stuff in. But Eagles, you might be one of the winners of the draft that we talk about in just a second.
For sure.
Reaches of the draft, though. Where there are sleepers, there are reaches.
There are such reaches.
I know we've talked about a couple, but who is the reach that is on your mind the most?
I'm not going to say Trayvon Walker again because I've already I'm going to go with, I mean, this is not even unpopular, but Cole Strange or whatever from the Patriots. Like, what? I swear he was just trying to be different. That's all Bill Belichick was trying to do, was trying to guess a Hall of Famer like he does, which I know he's been great at it, but you don't have to do that every draft.
Exactly.
He tried to get too cute with that, I think, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Cole Strange was a huge sleeper. Or not sleeper, reach. I don't know why I said sleeper. And then Trayvon Walker was absolutely ridiculous. I think he shouldn't have been a first-round pick, but yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this whole thing. I know the Saints picked Olave and all, but honestly, from the film that I saw of Trevor Penning,
oh yeah,
what in the world were they thinking there? I know there wasn't many. You know, they're Tyler Smith from Tulsa was picked by the Cowboys, and I'm just looking at the list right now. Tyler Smith was picked by the Cowboys, and not many offensive tackles were taken after that. But I mean, they honestly could have just made some type of trade or addition before any of that and just saved themselves from having Trevor Penning on their draft board. I mean, he gets knocked. Like from what I saw in Senior Bowl highlights and everything like that, you're going up against better competition. You're not.
Yeah, he was getting beat
Iowa.
and then holding and tossing him to the ground. Like he wasn't in pancake.
Not tossing them to the ground, tossing them into the quarterback.
Yeah, right into the quarterback.
You're talking to the quarterback. And your quarterback, you're going to be blocking for.
Yeah.
Just came off of an ACL.
Oh, he was getting destroyed. He was terrible. And then Tyreek Smith got up and like pushed him because like it was a bad like Trevor Penning, dude. Like that's a good point. I think that might have been even worse than Cole Strange because at least Cole Strange doesn't do that type of stuff.
I mean, at least like those guys can be developed and all that stuff. Like offensive linemen can be developed, but when you're talking about a guy that's coming straight out and he's coming from Northern Iowa and he's doing this to high level athletes at a Senior Bowl, and he's throwing guys. He's getting beat, and he's throwing guys into your quarterback.
Into the QB.
I don't care if the quarterback was injured in the past or not. The quarterback's going to be on the ground because of you and a couple other more reasons, and he is going to be yelling some very not nice things into your face after that.
Zero question about it. Yeah, you're right.
That was a big red flag for me. So I really had to bring up that Trevor Penning right there. So. We just went over the sleepers and definitely our reaches there. Who had the best and worst drafts? This is the winners and losers of the draft for teams.
Right.
Let's think of 3 teams apiece.
Okay.
You give me you good? You have like a couple of teams in your mind, like 2 or 3 teams?
I definitely have my best right off the bat. I've got 2 teams that for sure I think were
okay. Just give me 2 teams, and I'll give you 2.
I thought the Jets and the Eagles had great drafts, which honestly, like, they're not known for having great drafts. Neither of them. They're both known for being terrible in the draft, if anything.
Yeah.
But, like, you get Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Jeremy Ruckert. I thought Breece Hall. I mean, you got – Jeremy Ruckert has an argument for being tight end 1. Breece Hall has an argument for being RB1. Garrett Wilson has an argument for being wide receiver 1. Sauce Gardner has an argument for CB1. Jermaine Johnson, I mean, he's got a great argument for a top 3 edge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those dudes could all end up being high-level players in the NFL, very high level. And then you got with the Eagles, you're looking at Jordan Davis. You're looking at the Georgia duo here with Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. I think those were both of those players were the best player at their position. And I thought those were the 2 teams. Those are 2 teams that stick out. And then I actually have a 3rd team with the Ravens.
Yep.
With Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton. David Ojabo was a good 2nd-round pick since he got injured. That he fell there. He had a really good year this year, even though he was only good 1 year. To be honest with you, but Linderbaum and Hamilton and both of those guys to me were definitely the best at their position. So yeah, I just think those 3 teams won this draft.
So you gave 3, and I agree with all 3 of them. I'm going to give you 2 so we can have our top 5 list because I agree with all 3 of those right there. If I want to give you 2. I just had this team a second ago. I was looking around. The Detroit Lions, I thought, have a very good draft.
Oh, they did.
I mentioned them before. They had the 2nd pick, 12th pick, 46th pick as well. I thought Detroit did a good job. They, got a defensive end in Aiden Hutchinson who was proven a lot. And will be an impact player immediately defensively and will cause havoc on most quarterbacks. Jamison Williams gets back from injury. Hopefully he's able to have have that breakaway speed again for Jared Goff to have that time and look downfield. The Lions' offensive line is just pretty good overall. So I think if Jared Goff is able to get through his reads or, have a lot of reads with number ones that are Jamison Williams, then I think they're going to be all right. So I think overall, when it comes to those two up front, Detroit did a pretty good job. And I'm going to go ahead and say the Kansas City Chiefs. Trent McDuffie at quarterback.
I really like their draft, too.
They had a nice pick there with Trent McDuffie. You look at him, he's what is he? 5'11", 195. They had some struggles last year with Rashad Fenton at corner overall. I remember he was getting toasted in those Bengals Chiefs games, which I absolutely loved. He had like 4 or 5 pass interferences over the 2 games they played. And when you think about it, when you're a playoff team, you're drafting really to think about those other teams that you're going to compete against in the playoffs. When you're a team like the Chiefs, you're thinking about Jamar Chase, you're thinking about T. Higgins, or you're thinking about Stephon Diggs. You're thinking of, when it comes to like DBs, you're thinking about those guys. That's the nature of the game. But I really like their second round pick in Sky Moore from Western Michigan.
Oh yeah, I thought he was my number 10 receiver.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought he was close to better than Drake London, to be honest with you.
For what it was worth, I think he's gonna fit right in pretty well in Kansas City. You have Juju Smith-Schuster acquired from Pittsburgh, and Travis Kelce obviously can do it.
Right.
Just a big receiver that puts his hand in the dirt sometimes. And then Sky Moore, obviously he's not Tyreek Hill, obviously, but I mean, if he's able to bring a good amount of that production, they're able to, use him in many different ways and all that. And I mean, I think Kansas City is going to be fine. They're going to find more ways to win. And also their number 30th pick. I
was about to bring him up.
Yeah, George Karlaftis.
Better edge than Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought the Chiefs, their first 3 picks especially, hit it off very well. So I think things are looking really good for them going forward. I will say, let's give 2 teams a piece that did not have the best draft. You can give me the 2 first. You can give me your 2.
I'm actually going to go with the two teams that had the 2 most exciting rookie QBs, which I would say they've been the 2 talked about from that class for the longest time since high school. Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence's Bears and Jaguars.
Yep.
The Bears, good God. 2 straight DBs.
Yikes.
Just started off. Come on now. Out of everything you can draft, you decide to go defense, which your defense was not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Your defense was average, and then your offensive line was awful, and your receivers were awful.
Yep.
And you go and get 2 DBs to start out, and you don't get a receiver until in the 5th round. You get Velus Jones Jr. from Tennessee.
Man,
you're kidding me. So their draft was terrible. They also didn't get a good O line either.
Yep.
To add into that, they got nobody on offense, no tight end. They signed Master Teague in free agency at running back, who's already got cut. I'm pretty sure.
Already, damn.
I think so, or maybe not, but I thought he probably did. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the Jaguars, they had 1 first-round pick, right? The first overall was the only one.
Who was it?
The Jaguars.
Yeah, they who did they pick? They had him and Devin Lloyd.
Oh yeah, Devin. Okay, yeah, them. Okay, so Walker, pathetic. Not a first-round pick to me. I'd put him around the 40th in prospect range, which is where he was for a while. I think he's very overhyped. Maybe like the 6th or 7th edge area.
Okay.
Like I said, I think Karlaftis is even better. I obviously think Hutchinson's better, Jermaine Johnson, Thibodeaux. But Devin Lloyd, again, I don't think he was a very good – I don't think he's a first round – he's a 5th year – he stayed 5 years in college. and I just don't think he's that great of a prospect. I mean, he's pretty tall, long, but I didn't watch too much Utah. I watched him play 2 games. One game he had a solid game. I also watched like a little bit of his like film or whatever, but one solid game against Oregon. He had an interception actually, but it was a really bad throw. He really was just in his zone where he's supposed to be, and it went right to him.
Yeah.
One game against Ohio State. He was awful against Ohio State. Awful. And even in the run fits, he seems
Hold on. We had a little technical difficulties there, but um, we were looking at the worst teams throughout this draft. Hopefully, we can get Brady back. Hopefully, it's not myself.
Oh, there we go.
You good? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. I was about to say. But what were you? Continue the thought.
Anyway, I just didn't think he was the I think if you're going to take a linebacker there, it should be Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
But Devin Lloyd was their pick, and I'm like, I just think when that's what you're looking at. You need good first-round picks for the Jaguars. You got to change your franchise, and I thought they did the opposite of that by picking Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd.
Well, they changed it all right. That's they're looking at something. I don't know, but
Devin Lloyd was like my 5th linebacker, the 5th outside linebacker. I would take Nakobe Dean, Leo Chenal, Christian Harris from Alabama, Trey Walker, and then Devin Lloyd.
You know, I am actually going to take 2 playoff teams in this. I actually have the New England Patriots.
Bad draft for sure.
Yeah, like what are you doing, Bill Belichick? Cole Strange pick.
That was weird.
That was strange.
Yeah.
Hey, what were you doing at 50? What was it? 50. Tyquan Thornton when there's George Pickens out, Pierce and Sky Moore there. Yeah. What's going on? You got Mac Jones. You're gonna give this guy to Mac Jones. Okay,
it's not like him to go at 40 times like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. That's a very interesting pick. I'm not gonna trash Tyquan Thornton. I'm just gonna say, that's an interesting pick. We're gonna see how that thing works out.
We'll see.
But the other team that I thought initially, in the first round, who I said, what the hell are they actually doing, was the Packers.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Devontae Adams leaves, all right? And you draft 2 defensive players in the first round. Okay, I get it. They drafted Christian Watson with the 2nd pick on day 2, all right? And there were no receivers really taken after Treylon Burks. But, I mean, come on. Like, that really just threw me off. You know,
because what if they didn't get Christian Watson? What if
they'd be looking like idiots right now.
Yeah,
they got Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. They were both Georgia guys. You know, so they were basically going off the team that won a national title. But that honestly, like, that blew my mind that they did not try to go for an actual receiver in the first round, a first round talent.
I don't get it.
I thought they could, even if they didn't go Christian, I thought they could have potentially tried to go even George Pickens.
Yeah.
I know they want to go with the character issue and all that stuff. Like the Packers probably don't want to deal with all that.
Deal with his immaturity.
They don't, and Aaron Rodgers of all people do not want to deal with that. But
no,
but still, like, I don't know where the knowledge and all that stuff came from to go after those. Not those two. Those 2 prospects aren't bad, but it's just for the Packers standpoint. You don't draft a receiver until day 2.
Yeah, that's the fact that they didn't get a receiver. again is crazy. They just try to make Aaron Rodgers mad, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, I watched more of Christian Watson, and I now have him as a first-round receiver talent.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were lucky that he was still there.
Yes, exactly. That's where it comes into play. Like the fact that, like he said, that the fact he's still there and all that. I think Watson's going to be a very good receiver.
I do too.
While he's under Aaron Rodgers.
6'4". The dude flies. Like I didn't realize how the track speed's insane. He's kind of like I feel like he's a taller Jamison Williams, but not as fast.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's like the route runner Jamison is, but I think he's got the hands and speed, track speed, just not quite as long, but like similar play style as like a Jameson Williams.
Mm.
I think he's a nice home run hitter for the Packers for sure. But it's just lucky that he was there. Like, what do you do if he gets taken and you now have to pick somebody that's not up to the level of talent he is? Because they wouldn't have taken George Pickens.
No, not one bit.
Man.
Stuff doesn't really add up when it comes to that. Like the Packers are very glad that, a guy like Watson wasn't taken off the board and all that. But
right.
Especially you think about it, if he is off the board, yikes.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is walking in to Ted Thompson's office and is like, what the hell's going on here? So yeah. But yeah, that'll conclude tonight's episode of NFL Draft Coverage. I think we got some good insights and all that stuff over all these players and all. NFL schedule release is Thursday. A lot of big games and all that stuff. You'll see all these rookies potentially being able to shine and all that. So we got more episodes coming at you. I'm Chase. He's Brady. We're going to cut out of here. So we will see you guys next time.
Yep. See you guys.